we all have to reflect back to the current weather we're having, and look, hopefully it will continue, but we can't lose sight of the couple of drowning incidents that have happened over the last number of days in Ireland as a result of, I suppose, the number of people heading to the beach, etc. So we have to be mindful of that, with many people enjoying the sun, and we are asking people to remember the core message if they're on or near the water, and that is to float to live. So if you do find yourself in the water, we want you to tilt your head back with your ears submerged, relax and try and breathe normally, move your hands and legs, help you stay afloat. It's okay if your legs do sink, and the main thing is you need to control your breathing, and then at that stage to call for help, because the main issue associated with this is it's cold water shock and people gasping for air and then essentially drowning. So it's a key message now. Essentially, it always will be, even though it's hot out at the moment. So we just have to, everybody still has to consider that, really. And also, very significantly, with kids and smaller ones going to the beach, the rule still is that they need constant, uninterrupted attention. They have to be within arm's reach all the time, because essentially, I've said this many times before, that drowning is silent, there's no shouting or splashing, and it's quick. So parents in particular need to be very mindful of that when they have small kids around. And it's difficult for us to teach small kids, the message around float to live, because essentially they gasp, they panic, and they go under, and in a lot of cases they will drown. So we need parents and guardians on the beach to be very cognizant of that, because lifeguards aren't on duty in many of the beaches this coming weekend, so we all have to look out for each other.
Despite the period of hot weather that we've had, cold water shock is still very highly possible. The temperatures haven't risen within the sea, have they?
I suppose in the last couple of weeks they have risen marginally, really, but there's a groupthink mentality too as well. Like, when the warm weather is out, everybody will tend to go into the water, but we still have to be mindful of those risk factors associated with cold water shock. You still will see people wearing wetsuits and everything. It's not that warm in the water here still in Ireland, and it's something that we're not really used to, essentially, for this time of the year. It is really a bit, unprecedented. You see some of the high temperature records for May already. So it it's just important for everybody, I think, to watch out for each other. And if they do see somebody in trouble, whether yourself, child, or anybody, to remember to call 999 or 112 and ask for the Coast Guard. Every organisation will say they have absolutely no problem in attending to a false alarm with good intent. We would urge people not to go into the water after anybody, because that poses another concern. So we would advise people to try and throw something to them, anything that floats, a fender, a ball, a cool bag, for example, within this hot weather.
Checking tides and water conditions is still relevant even coming into the summertime.
Yes, absolutely. With a lot of people travel around the country, especially for bank holiday weekends, and in particularly now, people may be heading to the beaches in those areas where they do not have local knowledge. So we would urge people to consume that local knowledge from people that would be familiar with the areas that they are going to, because there are a significant amount of beaches in Ireland that are prone to rip currents and even rogue waves on cliff edges, even with this lovely weather. But the wind speed is increasing slightly, so we still have to be mindful of this. We are, in County Clare, we're still on the western seaboard here, so the same risks apply. So, and look, as you said yourself, in the context of cold water shock, like, the water temperatures at the moment are still cold enough to trigger that. So you get an involuntary gasp, your heart rate spikes, you hyperventilate. So the key element of that is you need to relax and calm down for 30 to 60 seconds, and then call for help. And I suppose really finally I have to reiterate on the um, uninterrupted constant supervision of kids at the beach, and particularly now with in the period where we do not have lifeguards on duty.
And I guess, people are going into the summer, they're maybe thinking of bringing inflatables out on the sea. Is that advisable?
No, no, it's not. It is not advisable to bring inflatable dinghies and lilos to the beach. As I said, we're on the western seaboard here. It's very easy for them to be blown out to sea. We had a very lucky incident a number of years ago where there was a child under 6 blown out into the main tidal streams in the estuary, and she just about held on to the inflatable. She got blown out between maybe about 1.5 kilometers out into the estuary, and it was only luck that that child didn't drown. So like this is the message to parents really. If you don't consider those risks, there's a significant increase in risk that there will be a fatality or there will be an injury, and unfortunately, it's the younger adults or kids who are at the forefront of that.